She lied about a business trip, so I decided to follow her. Ethan Caldwell had always believed that loyalty wasn't just a virtue, it was the backbone of a meaningful life. After nearly a decade of marriage to his wife, Lena, he took pride in the quiet routines and deep emotional bond they had built. Even with a demanding career in finance, Ethan always made time for their Wednesday night dinners, slow Sunday mornings, and evening walks that helped them unwind after long days. Lena had once treasured those moments as much as he did, or so he thought. Their marriage had been a tapestry of shared goals, traveling the world, starting a family, and growing old together. So when Lena's marketing career began requiring more travel, Ethan convinced himself it was temporary, a step toward her rising success. He even felt proud seeing her thrive. At first, her trips were occasional, maybe once every couple of months. But over time, they became more frequent, sometimes twice a month, sometimes weekly. She would be gone from Monday to Friday, citing investor meetings or critical presentations. One name started appearing repeatedly: Julian. According to Lena, he was her supervisor, sharp, meticulous, and dependent on her expertise. She often mentioned his charisma in meetings, his polished communication, and how he valued her perspective. Ethan tried to see it as professional admiration, but Julian's name began cropping up during casual chats, dinner conversations, and even small remarks before bed. Unlike colleagues like Priya, Damon, or Trevor, who were fleetingly mentioned, Julian lingered. Meanwhile, Lena grew distant. She still said, "I love you," but the words felt hollow, stripped of feeling. Her gaze often drifted to her phone during dinner. She smiled at messages she claimed were from coworkers, sometimes working late into the night. When Ethan suggested she rest, she snapped, saying not everyone could shut down at 6. One evening, Ethan entered the room just as Lena's phone lit up. A message from Julian appeared. She quickly flipped the phone, calling it a group chat. Ethan didn't press, but something inside him shifted. Doubt had taken root. Their anniversary became the tipping point. Ethan had prepared a quiet dinner, as they did every year. Home-cooked food, her favorite wine, a playlist of songs they both loved. But 2 hours before dinner, Lena called. Julian needed her on a last-minute flight to Chicago for an unmissable event. She didn't even come home, leaving straight from the office to the airport. That night, Ethan sat at the table alone. The food grew cold. The wine, once comforting, now tasted sour. Silence filled the room like a heavy weight. When Lena returned 3 days later, she acted as if nothing had happened. She made dinner herself, poured his favorite Chilean red, shared funny stories from the conference, and casually mentioned shopping downtown. Ethan smiled politely, but inside, a storm quietly gathered. The following days confirmed what he had sensed all along. Lena's spark, the way she used to look at him, was gone. She still smiled, but her eyes were cold. She still kissed him goodnight, but her body felt distant. And Julian's name, always Julian, was the reason behind the overtime, the travel, the delays. Then came the trip that shattered everything. Lena claimed Julian had invited her to a strategic summit in Denver, a major opportunity. She was flying out the next morning. Ethan said nothing, simply watched her pack. That's when he saw it. As she folded clothes, she tucked a brand new bikini into the suitcase. The tag was still on it. It wasn't her usual style, daring, revealing. He stared at it, then at her. She caught his gaze, smiled softly, and said, "The hotel has a heated indoor pool." The next morning, while Lena boarded her flight, Ethan powered up her old laptop, the one she hadn't used in months, and began searching through her email archives. Nearly 2 hours later, buried deep in her inbox, he found it, a booking confirmation not for Denver, but for a luxury beach resort called Ocean Crest Villas. 2 guests, an oceanfront suite included. The second name, Julian. Without hesitation, Ethan packed a bag, filled the tank, and drove straight there. He arrived late afternoon, the sun dipping toward the horizon. Approaching the resort from the beach, he spotted them immediately. Lena and Julian, barefoot, laughing, hands entwined, moving with the ease of people who weren't hiding a fling, but who had long surrendered to each other. She wore only the bikini bottom. Her top was draped casually over her shoulder. Julian's hands never strayed far. They looked perfectly at home together. Ethan pulled out his phone, recording everything: photos, videos, every intimate gesture, every betrayal. Then, he stepped forward. Julian noticed first and froze. Lena turned, her smile vanishing. The air thickened with tension. She opened her mouth, but Ethan interrupted. "I know everything. It's all on record." Nothing left to explain. Julian stepped back. Lena reached out, voice trembling, but Ethan was already turning away. He didn't look back. The drive home was silent. No tears, just clarity. That night, he packed all of Lena's belongings, every shirt, every perfume, every reminder of her. Suitcases went to the curb. He changed the locks. Then he compiled every piece of evidence: videos, photos, screenshots, messages, fake itineraries, and sent it to Lena's HR department. Next, he emailed Julian's wife, Harper, whom he found through company records. Her reply came with just 2 words: "Thank you." Back at the resort, chaos erupted. Julian panicked, called a cab, and left Lena standing alone. She spent the night crying in the bathroom, sending desperate messages to Ethan, apologies, promises, pleas, but he never replied. Days later, HR placed both Lena and Julian on leave pending investigation. Once reviewed, both were terminated. No ceremony, no severance, just emails ending their careers. Harper filed for divorce. Julian moved into a cheap rental. Word of his misconduct spread. Legal trouble followed. Lena moved in with her mother, unemployed, rejected repeatedly, her reputation ruined. She tried constantly to reach Ethan: texts, emails, voice notes, all ignored. Weeks later, she appeared at his door. No makeup, exhausted, barely standing. She begged for forgiveness, claiming Julian had manipulated her, that she'd felt invisible at home, that it had been a mistake. Ethan listened calmly, then said, "You disgust me." He shut the door, and her story ended. But Ethan's life went on. He relocated to a new city, revisited old hobbies, jogged at sunrise, reconnected with friends. He stopped asking why. He stopped wondering what he could have done differently because it wasn't his fault. Months later, Harper reached out. Her email was kind, grateful, even healing. They began exchanging messages. Nothing romantic, just mutual understanding. Eventually they met. They laughed. What grew between them was built on truth, respect, and shared survival, not pain. As they built something new, Lena faded into the past. Her downfall was complete and irreversible. Ethan, however, rebuilt himself, stronger than ever. What about you, my friend? Would you have handled it the same way? Tell me in the comments. And remember, truth always finds a way.